What's Hamas all about? What is their history? What's their governing ideology? What is their core? What's their essence? Check out this clip from Douglas Murray where he goes through in a pretty concise way the history and ideology of this evil terrorist group. Let's watch the clip together, then we'll talk about it. But before we watch it, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
In a way, quite easy to understand because they say what their ambitions are. They say what their beliefs are. They've said it from their governing charter onwards. And you also have the advantage with Hamas that they, as it were, in trying to understand them, is that they tend to do what they say and act on what they believe. The primary aim of Hamas is to destroy the state of Israel and then see. They're not an unusual group, sadly. The bit of it that is hard for some people to understand, I think, is that they really do mean what they say, and that they really do mean what they say they want to do. And I give a number of examples in the book of this, but I mean, the most obvious is the case of Yahya Sinwar, the Hamas leader, who is generally regarded as having orchestrated and arranged the 7th of October. We know a fair amount about him because he was in prison in Israel in the 2000s for murdering Palestinians in Gaza. And he was released in the prisoner swap he's one of the more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners inside Israel who was released in a swap for Gilad Shalit, the abducted Israeli soldier. And Yahya Sinwar, in prison in Israel, talked to, among others, a dentist who ended up saving his life because Yahya Sinwar had a brain tumor, and this dentist identified this and actually sent him to the hospital. And the Israelis famously removed the tumor and saved Sinwar's life. But this dentist used to speak to him in the prison, not very regularly, and has related, not least to the New York Times, his conversations with Sinwar. And Sinwar said in one of those conversations, he said, at the moment, you, Israel, are strong, but one day you'll be weak, and then I'll come. And that's what he did.
Is it a hatred of Israel, or is it a hatred of Jews? Is it on the level of nations or the level of religion?
Both. It's both. I mean, it originates from a religious mindset, but it's, of course, political as well. I mean, the Hamas Charter, of course, some people sort of think the Hamas Charter is of no significance, and I often notice this sleight of hand that people do. Again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Forget everything other than the most important basic things. But the Hamas Charter, among other things, quotes the hadith that the end times will not come until all of the rocks and the trees shout out, "Oh Muslim, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him." And that is so. Hamas is both obviously anti-Israeli, obviously, and anti-Jewish, obviously. It's and by the way, I mean, one of the many painful stories I tell in the book, but is of the fact that so many of the people in the communities that they attacked, it's not as if there'd be a right community to attack and a wrong community to attack, but that many of the communities they attacked were communities which deeply, deeply dreamed of the idea of living in peace with their Palestinian neighbors. There's a woman whose name has become relatively famous certainly famous inside Israel, Vivian Silva, who was a peace activist who spent every weekend driving Gazan children from the border to, if they had very rare medical needs that could not be seen attention to inside Gaza, would drive them to Israeli hospitals. And she spent every weekend doing that. Worked for all of the sort of left-wing peacenik organizations in Israel. And for a while after the 7th, her neighbors and others thought that she had been taken captive into Gaza, and actually there was a hostage poster for her, and there were appeals by the various peacenik organizations for Hamas to hand her over, but it turned out she'd been burned alive in her home, and this wasn't discovered for quite a long time because there was so little DNA left of her that it was very hard to identify the remains as being hers. So there were a lot of people in the Gaza envelope, as it's called in Israel, in the area around Gaza, who would have been the people who wanted to live peacefully with the Gazans someday. And there's a certain, among the many, it's not an irony, but just among the sort of pains of the day is that so overwhelmingly these are the people that Hamas brought hell to.
Yeah, the Hamas ideology is pretty simple and straightforward. Kill the Jews, destroy Israel, and really kill the West. America is called the Great Satan after Israel, which is called the Little Satan. So people shouldn't also confuse that this is just a Jewish problem or just an Israel problem. This is a Western problem. This is an America problem. This is a Christian problem. This is a problem that affects really anyone in the sane and civilized world. There's an idea, there's like a motto that's out there in the Middle East among some extremist groups that's called "After Saturday comes Sunday." Meaning, after Saturday comes Sunday, meaning that after we deal with the people, the Saturday people, the ones that observe the Sabbath on Saturday, the Jewish people, comes Sunday. We deal with the people that celebrate the Sabbath on Sunday, namely the Christians. So this is not just a Jewish problem. This is not just an Israel problem. This is a civilization problem, and civilization needs to work together in order to dismantle this problem. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.